Hello, guess who? It's the person you talk to every single day, many times a day. It's Steven. Just want to wish you a nice happy birthday. Hope you enjoy your chocolate cake. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Steven. That was an amazing rendition of Happy Birthday.
I try, man. I try.
I really wanted to leave a voicemail, but I was told that I can't leave a voicemail today.
Because these voicemails are very, very real.
My voicemails are real every single time, Steven.
Yeah.
For example, Steven, it was my birthday and I had some cake and I made lots of Insta stories that were actually funny. I watched them back.
It's the 5-year-old voice that you do. And here is my chocolate cake that I'm making, and this is what goes in it.
Yeah,
and then eventually
like
you break
that.
character and you come back to the real Jared. I'm like, man, I just wish you were just the real Jared.
I know that's that comedian guy from back in the day who died of heroin.
Oh, geez, who are you talking about?
What's his name? Let me Google died of heroin comedian. Comedian died from heroin.
There's probably a lot that are listed, I'm sure.
It's Mitch Hedberg. Number 1 comes up. Oh. Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg is funny. Was funny as shit. His comedy was so dry like that. He's just like, I went to I went and bought a donut at Dunkin' Donuts. They asked me if I would like a receipt. I said, I do not require a receipt. The donut is receipt enough. You know,
I don't think that's funny, though.
It is funny because he did
I feel
funny
like that's
shit.
your type of humor.
It is, because I don't like comedy shows. You know, I've been down that road a million times where I've
we're
gone
all
to comedy
laughing.
shows.
You look over at Jared and he's just like stone face.
I'm just like, that's not funny. That's fake. You tried really hard to make that joke funny. Like I
But
saw
you
on
don't think your
Z's.
stories, you're trying really hard to be funny?
No, I just think they're funny, and that's all that matters. I saw Aziz Ansari perform, and I know they were like warm-up shows where he was trying stuff. It just wasn't funny.
Yeah.
It just wasn't funny. I saw Michelle Wolf. It just wasn't funny at all. And Michelle Wolf. It's like that's not funny. I saw Gilbert Gottfried. He was funny. The old school comedians. I saw Andrew Dice Clay was my last show that I would ever see if it wasn't funny. And his opening act, she was fucking incredible.
Doc.
Yeah, but he didn't. That was the last thing that he did.
Yeah.
He did all new stuff, and it was funny because it's a shtick. I like his shtick. I like raunchy. I like over the top. The stuff that people would get offended by, I find to be funny because I can take a joke.
I'm just not a huge fan of like sitting there watching like a 2-hour Netflix comedy special. Like it's not my jam personally. I'd rather watch like a movie, but I have so many friends that are like, did you see this special? Did you see that? And I'm like, nah,
No.
I'm not going to waste time on that personally, but I guess a lot of people dig that kind of stuff.
I don't watch comedy specials. I don't find them to be funny. Now I will watch Joan Rivers. I will go back and listen to the funny shit that Joan Rivers would say. I consumed a lot of what she did. The behind the scenes stuff was hilarious. Anything she did on Stern was hilarious. Joan Rivers was hilarious. That's why I partly liked Marvelous Miss Maisel, because it was loosely based on a Joan Rivers type of character. There's that show on HBO. Is it called Hacks? Right?
I don't know.
Let me see. HBO Hacks. Hacks season 3. Oh, really? Hacks season 3. Let me see. Hacks HBO. Well, sorry, Max. Is it called Max now? Yeah, Hacks. It's a funny show. It's about a comedian. Let me read you what it says. Hacks is an American comedy drama television series created by Lucia blah, 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 the blah, 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 blah. The series centers on the professional relationship between a young comedy writer and a legendary stand-up comedian. Yeah, it basically it follows around this washed up older comedian who they're trying to like, she's in Vegas, she has a residency, but they're trying to like move her along so they can replace her by someone else. And she was brought in, a young writer was brought in from LA who just got canceled online for saying something on Twitter, and their back and forth is really funny. I find comedy like that to be funny. So anyway, I go off on topics.
That's weird.
My birthday, I'm 43 now.
43. Years young.
43. I had a really good birthday. I woke up and I went and reffed hockey. I wanted to ref a hockey game, so I took a game and I reffed a hockey game.
Like you wanted to specifically do that on your birthday?
Well, there was a game available that was an 18U, so it was should have been a good skate, and I went and did it.
Nice.
Little did I know that it was 18UA, and A sucks. AAA is the real good hockey. This was a bunch of
Great
was
start to
terribly
the
coached.
birthday.
It was just horrible because it's in Bristol in Northeast Skate Zone, and the people there just treat you like shit. And so, I mean, it didn't bother me.
Where did we
Totally
go for
fine.
the ZVE10 video? Was it that rink?
We were 18 minutes away to Pennsauken.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Pennsauken's totally different. Better players, better coaches, better ingredients, Papa John's. It's just so much better than Bristol. But anyway, I did that, came home, I got my lunch, I wanted to do some work, came to the studio, got your vacuum because my friend she wanted to vacuum the first floor because there's a lot of
You're talking about the
cement.
Dyson vacuum or the shop vac?
Your Dyson vacuum.
The one that's
She
super
likes it.
loud and kind of broken?
Yeah, but it
Hey,
works. No, it works
I
better
know.
than mine.
That's why I didn't want to throw it out.
Basically, when I had the concrete poured in the new place, all that dust somehow got through the wall one way or another.
How?
And don't ask me how it all somehow ended up.
Weird.
Somehow found its way.
Yeah.
Coating my
There's
floor.
no ventilation system that's connected or anything, right?
No. I just threw cinder block. I know, it just found its way. And so she wanted to vacuum, and then we went to Lowe's to get this moppy thing, and Lowe's was not busy at all because it was coordinated when football was starting, so
Yep.
no one was there.
Best time to go to the Home Depot or Lowe's when football's
I figured,
playing.
figured that there was a football game on that most people wouldn't be out. And so we did that. I dumped some more images to make photo books because this is not a plug for Printique, but they do have their discount code. Was it like Baby Steps 24? I don't know why they would call it baby. You can go to Printique.com and you can see it at the top. They give you 15% off of orders of $100 or more on photo books right now. I printed my Africa book, 2 of them, and the one
I
is
refuse to look at.
Stephen wouldn't look at the hyena kill. I put that in a separate book,
Yeah.
and that is definitely baby steps right there. The cover is a hyena. You'll see it on Photo News Fix. Actually, Photo News Fix is out by the time you're listening to this, where I show the cover of the hyena book, and it's
Brutal.
crazy. But yeah, so I wanted to make some more books. So I made another book, and I started to do the Paris book, and I didn't do the Simonson book.
Oh, you
Anthony
didn't do a Paris
Simonson.
book yet? Huh.
Paris number 2. I did the first one.
Okay, I was
I
going
don't
to say,
have
I
a
thought you
lot
did
for
a Paris book.
I don't have a ton for Paris number 2, but I have enough that's as good memories for me.
Sure.
So I have enough to put in there, and I just have to finish it and do the covers and place some more orders before that deal ends on the 30th of January. But you might as well
Again,
get
we're
a
not
discount.
plugging them, but it really is a great discount every time, especially when they do the 25 and 30% deals, which is fairly often.
Yeah, this one's 15, and so I'm using it.
It's great.
So that's that. Oh, and then dinner was really good. My friend, she made.
Seems like you guys made everything. Looked great.
We baked a cake on Saturday, which
Ooh.
I'm going to bring you a piece tomorrow.
Yes.
And I got to bring Dan a piece so he can take it to his. Wait, is it vegan? There's no egg in it. Does that make it vegan?
Egg.
I don't know. I think it's vegan,
I
so I
don't
think
know.
his wife can eat it. But I'll give him a nice slice of it. I got to give you a nice slice to take home. Cake is very good. She did a great job making it. I made it myself, and
No help at all.
no help at all.
Yeah,
No,
she
she's
did it
really
all.
good in the kitchen. Where women belong.
She's home.
and
yeah.
she does my laundry,
Kidding.
laundry, and
Cleaned up. She did a lot. Jeez.
But she's like, Jared, you haven't washed your bottle, your mixer thing from the morning. I'm like, it looks fine to me. She's like, look at it. I'm like, it's cool to me. I don't care. She's like, her dad does the same thing. He could go a year without cleaning his water bottle. I was like, whatever.
No, I'm pretty big on cleaning that kind of
Penicillin,
stuff.
man, penicillin. But anyway, let me tell you about the dinner real fast. She made pesto the day before,
Ooh.
right? She made it fresh in her choppy chop machine. She then got these, I don't know what type of pasta it was, but it was going to be pesto pasta with pine nuts and shrimp. She made shrimp on not on the Barbie, but she made
Yummy.
shrimp. She bought filet to pan sear and then put in the oven. So we had filet.
That's how I cook
she
it,
bought
too.
tomatoes and burrata, so I made the tomatoes and burrata thing. That was really good.
How was your filet? Because every time we go out, your filet is always fucked up.
Filet was really good.
What'd you get? You usually get like medium rare, right? Something like that? Medium?
Not medium rare, but between the two of them. Yeah. So it's on the medium rarer side, which is fine.
That's
that
how I
was
like
really
it.
good.
Yeah.
She got some bread. What else? No, that was basically the meal. Oh yeah, she roasted whole garlic so that you could then pop them out and then put it on top of the bread with your butter.
Oh,
that was a thing. And then she cleaned the kitchen. And that was good. That's what women should do. And gay men. Why don't we just say that? The gay man.
But not straight men. Definitely not straight men.
No, the gay man who acts as the woman, because there is usually in every gay relationship, and I know this because my friend's gay, which is the dumbest thing to ever say. It's like, I'm not racist. I know a black person. It's like I'm not racist. I know a Jew. I'm just being a dick just to be a dick right now. So I can clean my kitchen. She just does a really good job
at it. You just choose not to. Or your definition of cleaning is like 5 minutes later and I'm done.
I've done a much better job since she started cleaning stuff and then gave me like, tips. Here, now that the dishwasher is empty, you should always put your stuff in the dishwasher and then run it, and then you don't have stuff in the sink. I'm like, yep. Well, that makes sense.
Dude, we run our dishwasher every single night now. It's insane. Yeah. I used to do once a week. Now it's every night with the baby.
Yeah, it's because you have a bed.
Tons of bottles, tons of always something to be washed.
So now that we got my birthday out of the way, we should just tell you that we are recording slightly earlier than normal. Today is a Monday. My birthday was on a Sunday.
Yeah,
we normally record on a Thursday. The reason that we're not recording right now later in the week is I have a video shoot to go do and to produce out in Las Vegas. We are flying out to Las Vegas. I'm flying out Tuesday evening to get there for a full day Wednesday and a full day Thursday, and then taking a red eye at 11:30 at night back to Philly for Friday morning. This is how productions seem to work for the show. This is the bowling show that we're working on, and we're going out to Las Vegas because Anthony Simonson is there and Darren Tang is there. They both reside there, so we're going to spend a day with each of them, probably 6, 7, 8 hours with each of them on separate days to capture what their home life is and what they do and document that for the series so that you're just simply going out there to do a day in the life type deal. It's day in the life stuff, but it always involves bowling. So what they're going to be going away for the next 6 weeks because the tour doesn't stop for like 5-6 weeks in a row. They finish a tournament, they drive to another. This is where the smaller tournaments happen. Okay. But the next tournament, which I'll be going to next week, which is in Indianapolis, which is the U.S. Open, that's a major tournament. So the first 2 tournaments there's 5 majors in a season. 2 of them are back to back. The first week, and then 2 weeks later, next week is the next one. So we'll be going out there.
Are you filming again this time, or are you strictly doing still photography, or just being there as like a producer on hand?
I'm going to be producing and directing. I will be a second shooter. I will be doing video.
Wow, you're doing a lot of video shooting. I thought that was more of a last minute thing last week.
Well, so we're trying to do a lot of this on a very small budget at the very beginning.
Sure.
We have a small budget to create what we'll call a sales reel instead of a sizzles reel. It's a thing that it's like a trailer that you create that can be shopped around. The company that we're working with, have I mentioned which company yet?
I don't believe you have.
All right, so I'm going to hold off on that just for now.
Yeah.
But it's one of the largest out there that likes to support.
Most people would probably be familiar with the name.
You 100% would be familiar with them because they're always winning Oscars. Yeah. Because what they do is they fund projects. And I almost named some, and you could end up looking it up if I did name it. But they help fund projects to get them off the ground. They find ideas they like, and then they turn them into winners. They help guide them. And so this company wants to get into unscripted content. And unscripted content is like docuseries, is like the Chef's Table and the soccer, any of the Brexham and F1 and all of that, right? And so I look at it as they're on board, right? They're on board, and they put up a smaller budget to get started. And so we're trying to do our best to be conservative right now with the budget to get what we need to just get everything that we need, because when the real budgets come in, you hope that the show sells to a Netflix and you get like $2 million an episode, $3 million an episode, which I doubt you would get in the first season. But if you get $200,000 an episode, it's not a bad thing.
I do wonder, what does Netflix put out these days for shows? Just because there's so many damn shows that you don't even hear of half the time.
Yeah, but
because their catalog is just never ending.
Correct. The big ones are like Full Swing Golf, and then the Breakpoint Tennis. I think Full Swing Golf might be a $10 million season. Like, they give them $10 million to produce, and you look at how they produce it, and you're like, ooh, like. where does all that money go?
Yeah.
I've seen budgets, right? Because now I'm starting to understand the back end of it, where I'm seeing the budgets that the team is putting together. It's unbelievable to have the team that does this stuff, that everybody has their position, they're great at it, and you see these budgets formed. So they put all these line items, they put all these spreadsheets together, and it's like, well, if we don't do this, if we don't have a sound person, but we hire this person who can do more of that, then we're better.
It's all about compromise.
Right. Or if we bring someone in from LA to drive there, then we don't have to spend that money on flights. Or if
how
we
do we
bring
consolidate?
our own gear.
How do we save? Yeah. How do we save?
Well, so what's going to happen is the one company that we're involved with, Mandalay Sports, they have their own package of cameras. They have C300 Mark IIIs. They have a 50 millimeter Cine lens. They have some other stuff, and they use it for running and gunning, and they use it for interviews. And so the one guy is like, you know what? He's shooting a big documentary. He's helping film something. He's capable of setting up the interviews, and he wants to bring like a person to help with the lighting and a person that will run the audio and that he's worked with before. That's great. Okay. And then I'll be there and I can help with that. And then this other guy who's a producer for other big shows and worked on The Last Dance and all that, he'll be on the ground too. So it's not just me with the ideas now. It's these other people that are amazing at this stuff. But so we're able to save on having to hire another shooter and rent gear because they're bringing the gear with them. They're bringing the light panels. They talked about the Cine lenses. They talked about the angle that they like. And then I was like, can I just chime in about the angle that you're talking about? Because you're saying the focal length, but the C300 is really a Super 35 sensor, which is 1.45x crop depending on the frame rate that you shoot at.
Depending on the resolution. If you're shooting DCI 4K, you're at 1.45. If you're UHD, which I'm sure you guys will be shooting in, that's probably more like the 1.5, 1.6.
So they didn't realize that. And that's not, look, not everybody's a tech person and runs and understands cameras like we do.
If you only deal with Super 35 sensors, you don't know anything else but what you know, That's all you know is, like, I like the look of a 50, even though in reality it's like more like a 75 mil when you throw it on a crop sensor.
Exactly.
Like what they think is a 50 is not really a 50 is what I'm saying.
Right, that's what I said to them. I'm like, so if you love the 50 on there, well, that's basically a 72 millimeter equivalent. Full frame.
So speaking of lenses, are they using Cine lenses for run and gun, or that's more
Not
like
for
the
run and
interview?
gun.
Okay, gotcha.
The interviews, because I asked, they're using like 24 to 70. Now, my thing with the C300 Mark II, and this is where I think Sony is more advanced in the cinema world, is that they've had the E-mount all along. So they have E-mount glass that, down to the basics of cinema cameras that you can use, whereas the first RF mount cinema camera from Canon is the C70.
Mm-hmm.
So you also now have the R5C as a cinema camera that takes RF lenses, but that's a higher megapixel sensor. So does it not do great in high ISO? But then again, for locked off studio stuff, I mean, I didn't realize they wanted to put cinema glass on. I didn't think cinema glass, and cinema glass is incredible glass, all manual focus. But then I was like, well, if we get a C70, we can use the cinema glass. And I was like, wait a second, cinema glass isn't out for RF yet. They're not released. So then you were like, oh, but you could adapt the EF glass to the RF body. And I was like, oh, right. But I can't go RF glass to the EF C300 Mark II.
Yeah.
And so it's, and I don't want to just mess with how they shoot, right? I don't want to throw something at them last minute, but I did request to get us an R5C back from Canon because we had one and we had to send it back and they never replaced it. And I asked for a C70 because I'd like to personally try that with an RF mount, but I think I would probably prefer using a R5C because of the viewfinder. But then for high ISO capability, it's probably not as good.
Yeah, and it's tough because when you start to get in those cinema cameras, you also have no IBIS, really no stabilization. You really need it in the lens.
I asked Canon, I'm like, why no IBIS? He's like, they fought us on autofocus. I'm like, and they lost at that because cinema shooters that don't use, like, they understand the importance of auto. A lot of them understand the autofocus at this point, how you need to do evolve and how it just benefits you to have that tracking autofocus. And
I mean, there's plenty of people that are huge into that film world. Like I think of Jordan Drake from Petapixel. He was at a time very against autofocus, and I remember talking to him at one of the press trips and being like, "What autofocus mode are you in?" And he's like, "Autofocus? I'm manual all the time." I'm like, "Really? For run and gun stuff?" But all their stuff is always locked off, so that's why it kind of makes sense for what he does. With us, you're constantly running around with those press trips.
Yeah, you got to use the stuff to the technology as you advance to your advantages.
I think he uses it a lot now, but there was a time where he was very into manual, and that's it.
Anyway, we're going to get the cinema cameras. I'm trying to learn more. I got to have a call with Canon, the people that are in charge of cinema, because I want to learn more about proper ISO, like you were telling me.
See, the thing is, there's a lot of dual gain sensors out there, but manufacturers just don't really reveal that information half the time. It's not to be confused also with Canon's dual gain output sensor that's in their C300 Mark III and C70. That has to do with dynamic range, not so much dual native ISOs. I think a lot of like Fuji X Trans sensors are dual gain. Sony's A7S III, along with their FX3, same sensors. All of their FX cameras. I know the R5C has a dual base ISO of 800 and 3200 in C-Log 2 and 3. So that means the R5 does as well, because again, same sensor. But I'm pretty sure it's 400 and 1600 in stills mode, just like regular C-Log. Also, I think the A7 IV is 800 and 3200 in S-Log 3. Again, there's probably more cameras. Just a lot of manufacturers don't really reveal this type of information. Just a lot of testing going on throughout the internet, and that's kind of how people figure it out.
But I want to know what that means, right? Like, I want to really, really understand.
Like, instead of shooting at 2500, it might be better to shoot at 3200 because that's where that second dual native ISO kicks in. So it's a cleaner image the higher ISO you go.
My friend Deb, she uses the C3, the
FX3.
FX3,
yep,
and it has the dual native, but it's 12,800.
Yeah.
Now, but my brain is having trouble wrapping around. Is that 12,800 technically clean because it's base ISO?
12,800 will be the second dual native ISO, so it's cleaner than something like 6,400.
That's just crazy. I don't understand that.
It might even be cleaner than 3,200. I haven't really used that camera that often and pushed it that high, so I don't know. Deb would know better than me.
So yeah, that's just something I need to get an education on because I want to wrap my head around to understand that.
If you did tests and put a lens cap on and then cranked up the ISO, you would see what's cleaner and what's not, but you have to test it out.
Go fuck yourself.
Your favorite.
I'm not doing that. I could watch Gerald Undone, I guess.
Or just watch Gerald, yeah.
Shoot like charts.
Yep.
But that's not the point. I want to understand it in a real world situation. I want to understand it. So I'm going to
really
dive
all you
into
need
it.
to know again is just where that second dual native kicks in, and then you're
and I just want to understand it. And I will talk to them about that. So the shoot, we're working with Simonson, we're working with Darren Tang, and this is stuff that is hopefully leading to the show getting picked up. If it gets picked up, then that's when the real money kicks in to then choose a system. Are we going to go with Sony because we have access to all the Sony gear? Are we going to go with Canon because we have all the access to the Canon gear? So there's a world where, I mean, I have the 24-105. You want to talk about the greatest runaround lens ever right now? That 24-105 is going to be a unbelievable lens for runners and gunners who are used to a 24-70.
Yep.
But they need it on the newer RF cameras, in my opinion. So we'll have to make that decision in the future. But the thing is, we will lock off on a decision and stick to it. It's either going to be Sony or it's going to be Canon. Which cinema way we go will be determined by what gear we're able to get from these guys in exchange for saying this was shot on Sony or this was shot on Canon. I mean, that's just the nature, and that's what the team will decide on. But when that money comes in, you'll also try to get the same shooters for multiple shoots.
Yeah.
Right? So that there's a consistent look and a consistent feel. You will want to work with the same people.
And they'll be caught up. They'll know what's going on. They'll be on the same page. They can really follow along the story.
The one thing I'll say about the bowling thing is the people that shot with me a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago now in Wichita, who never followed professional bowling in their lives, were so enthralled by the end. Even when they weren't shooting, they were tuning in because they wanted to see what was going to happen.
Good.
That's the point of these shows, is that you get an inside look at who these people are, that you feel invested in it, that you're going to want to follow it and understand it. It's the same thing. Like when I watched F1, I don't give a shit about car racing, but I watched it and I was like, this is really good. I love the stories of these athletes and I want to see what's going to happen. And now I started watching Cheer.
For research purposes, right?
So, dude, Cheer is amazing. It's done really well. But Jesus, dude, I love those outfits those guys are wearing.
Getting someone like me, though, to watch the bowling show and be actually entertained and want to watch the next episode after next episode, that will be a big thing, because I absolutely despise bowling, don't give a shit about it at all. And for someone like me to watch that and then want to keep watching.
You hear that, Stu? Steven hates you.
No, I just don't give a shit about the sport.
Yeah, but you care about Stu as a person.
I do. I like you, Stu. Good man.
Yeah, Stu.
Stu is an avid listener to RAWtalk, apparently.
Stu Williams, everybody. He's got his own,
and I like his
own
accent.
podcast. Yeah, he's British. So Stu is really good. I see Stu being involved in the show from the standpoint of, well, if he decides to win something once, then we'll follow him.
Oh.
But I see him as I'm going to get a call.
Fighting
hey, Jared,
words.
who's the one that texts every Wednesday when you fucking miss your spares? I'm like, yeah, I text you on how bad I am at bowling because I'm not a professional fucking bowler. I see Stu as one of these like people that you interview in the chair all the time, and you take sound bites and clips when he's talking about tournaments and he's talking about different bowlers. He's like the conduit to the people at home explaining certain things.
Okay.
I think that could totally could really.
So he breaks
really
it down
work.
really well.
Just not breaks
The
it down, but
science of bowling.
He's extremely lovable. He's extremely lovable. He says these things that are, I find them to be funny, and he's always in the middle of a discussion at bowling. He's always there.
If you guys want a peek of what Stu looks like and sounds like, I believe he's in our ZVE1 real world preview that we did like last year when you were running around with the ZVE1 for the first time.
Yeah.
He was funny in that.
I'm sure I'll get plenty. Maybe Stu's wife will text me this time because she finds the podcast to be hilarious as well. She listens in the car when he's driving from one place to the next.
Nice.
I'm excited to see where it goes. Like I said, I've been working at it for 2.5+ years at this point, and it's every step that you take is you hope, we put it into position to be a success since day one, even when we were told no, or I was told no at the very beginning. But just to see it through and to get to this point, if it does happen and the big budgets come and we can make a real deal run at it, that's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. It's also a lot of work.
I'm excited to see what the end product looks like, because it is very difficult to make something out of nothing and to really showcase what you're seeing in reality and making that a show that people want to watch.
You watched the sizzle reel, right?
I did, yeah.
And you that didn't hook you?
No, it did, yeah. But that was, just one small moment in time captured, really. I'm curious about this whole a year worth or months worth of capturing these bowlers behind the scenes and what's going to happen and who's going to win what and that kind of stuff. Really, pushing the story forward.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see, and you guys can, obviously, I'm going to bring you along for the journey when we do it. But that's why we're recording early.
I didn't even know we were recording today until earlier. You messaged me in Slack, and you're like, "What time you want to record?" I'm like, "Record."
I thought we talked about. I thought we did discuss that yesterday. Like,
no, we talked about filming.
Yeah.
Unless we were on a different page. Unless I thought you were talking about filming, and you were actually talking about recording RAWtalk.
I think it was both, but we decided that we would try and film tomorrow.
Yeah. But I don't remember RAWtalk being a part of that discussion at all.
Well, then, but when we were having the discussion and I was ruined, I just kept getting my days wrong. I'm like,
I had no idea what you were talking about. You were constantly,
I was like, oh yeah, I'm flying Wednesday. No, I'm flying Tuesday.
You kept flip-flopping. I'm like, wait, what day are you leaving?
I'm leaving Tuesday night.
Yeah. But you kept saying Wednesday night, and I'm like, what?
And I take a red eye Thursday to get me home Friday. It's just things shifted by one day, and so one day.
There we go.
One day. Some people don't change. The way build the chain. The football you're fighting. Stop all the blind hate. But one day. Yiggy, yo!
I let you have that one for your birthday.
March 22nd, Modest Yahoo, Philadelphia.
Yes, can't wait.
Hey, he asked me, he's like, Jared, do you have a place to park the tour bus? I'm like, no.
Where's he playing?
No. He's playing Brooklyn Bowl.
Oh, that is
speaking
close,
of bowling. Yeah, so it's Brooklyn Bowl, which is a middle, so it's not big enough to play the Fillmore, and he's bigger than the Foundry. So now they go into the Brooklyn Bowl.
I've never been to Brooklyn Bowl because that's fairly new, right? Newer?
Brooklyn Bowl's been there for years. It was well before the pandemic. It was this bowling alley.
Yeah, but Live Nation didn't own it as a venue at the time, did they?
They bought it during the pandemic.
Yeah.
it was out of business, and they took it. Well, no, Brooklyn Bowl bought it and then made it a Live Nation venue.
Because before it was Foundry was like the small tier, like 400 people or less upstairs venue. Then you had the Fillmore, which was like 2,000 cap, and then I guess Brooklyn Bowl is now that in between like 1,000. Person.
Yeah, if that, maybe 800, maybe 700.
All right.
We'll see what he gets. But he's like, do you have a place? I'm like, yeah, you guys could crash at my place during the day if you really need a place. I got shower there, and all the instruments are there and everything, so you can come hang out at my place. I just probably don't want you smoking weed inside, just like I don't want to be hotboxed in there again.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah. So that's my birthday and bowling. Can I talk about something, Steven? I want to talk about something.
Yeah. I guess I'll let you talk for once.
I got asked to do a sponsored piece of content, like a Photo News Fix plug.
So like a 60-second plug about something specific.
At the beginning, and I'm just not doing it. I just flat out said no, because it's one of these services where they take your images or the style of images that you do and then use AI to create similar images based off of your style to then put those up for sale. And I'm like,
everything else photographers have been fighting for the past few years.
I'm like, absolutely not. I don't care how much money you throw at me, but the answer to that question is no. I will not be doing that. I will not be taking the money to promote that. Like we've been seeing the promotions for the Noise AI, right? What company is that?
Topaz AI, you mean?
Topaz AI, right? And then did I send you the video of the kid using the DJI? Like, how many videos came out about the DJI microphone the other day?
You sent the automatic noise reduction from the new DJI 2, whatever it's called.
So the guy posts a video where he's sitting there with the new DJI mic and you can hear his wife vacuuming next to him. And then he goes, but wait. And then he puts on the noise cancellation and starts talking while the vacuum is supposedly still happening 5 feet from him. I find that hard to believe that it could cancel that noise like that.
I find that hard to believe, or if it does cancel the noise like that, he probably sounds terrible when you put on like a good pair of headphones. Because noise reduction with audio, it sounds like you're underwater half the time. It sounds muffled half the time. Because you can use, like Premiere, Adobe has that beta version of their AI noise reduction for audio. And it does do a pretty good job, but you could still hear it's not as clean as it would be if you had a clean environment to record in.
Well, it's like saying that the Google Pixel, where there's a proposal happening 10 feet from the camera and the wind noise is really bad, and then all they do is go in and slide the wind noise reduction, and all of a sudden the voices become the clearest thing ever.
It never really works, that well at least. It's always a gimmick. It's always a marketing term.
So DJI just sent 1 billion of those to people, and you saw them all drop at the same time. I wasn't one of those people. We could have been one of those people, but I don't abide by anybody's rules and standards for sending me product. The way that it used to work back in the day, going back 10, 12 years when I started, a company would send you a product in the hopes that you would review it. But nowadays, a lot of companies are like, we will only send you the product if you agree to do this, and this.
Yeah. And
you get to keep the product. And I'm like, no, you can send me a product, and here's what I'll do. I will show people that it showed up in the mail and do an Insta story or a reel, because I will always use the social media over there to do that. But my YouTube channel is what's the word? My YouTube channel is sacred. The word is sacred, Steven. It's a sacred place. I had to think of it. I had to take a pause there for a second, but the YouTube channel is a sacred place. You protect your YouTube channel at as all costs as possible. And so you're not going to dictate to me that in order for me to get your product, I must guarantee that I will post a video on this day. No. Like, you want that? You're either gonna pay us a lot of money to do a product showcase, in which case it's not a review, and it's really it has to be a product that we potentially could recommend to people, because I'm not going to just take your money for garbage.
Sure.
We had something that offered it was like $12,000 to do a video on something, and it just didn't fit.
Oh, was that the product that they sent the product and then we said, no, we're not doing it? That product?
Yes, and you gave feedback on how this product needs to get better.
Because it wouldn't even work. It took me
It didn't work properly.
30 minutes just to figure out how to use the UI. It was so bad.
It was just not, it wasn't a product that I wanted to promote regardless of how much money they would give us. And by promote, I mean doing a product showcase, which isn't a review, but it makes it difficult if the product is a subpar product.
Exactly.
There's no way I can sit there and make a video.
Yep.
I just can't.
That was one of the only times that we're like, we can't do this. We literally can't do this.
I mean, but there's been times way in the past that I've just been like, guys, no. No. I've had products come where they've been bad, and I'm like, guys, I'm not even gonna talk about this product because all I'm gonna do is shit on it.
We did have the one video years back where we had another shooter do it for us, if you recall, and we finished the whole video edit, sent it in, and they were like, no, you guys showed different products in the video that are technically our competition, and we can't do that. And we're like, you didn't give us any guidelines. I didn't know that was a competitor.
Yeah, so the quick of that was it was for some sort of slider and other products, but usually sliders have to go on tripods. Now, if you don't tell us that you're owned by a certain company and therefore we can't show a competitor's brand, then you should have supplied me with the tripod that I could use.
Exactly.
But not tell me after the fact and say I need to reshoot it. And my reply to them was, no one fucking cares what tripod is being used. It's about the product we're talking about. So no. And we got paid for that, and I didn't give that money back. I'm like, I would have given them their money back.
Our duties.
But
we filmed and recorded and edited the video, and we were ready to launch, and they're like, no, we got to do it all over again.
Then I'm like, this is on you. This is on you. This was not stipulated beforehand. I'm not giving you your money back. And
one of the few videos that has never seen the light of day when it comes to Frono's photo.
And it was a pretty good video, too. It ended up being pretty good.
It was, yeah.
Let's move into the photo portion news. I mean, it's all photo news that we're talking about. But Sports Illustrated laid off 100 of their employees that exist. Now, when I say Sports Illustrated, it's not exactly Sports Illustrated anymore. If you look it up, it says mass layoffs hit Sports Illustrated staff. This comes from NBC News a couple days ago. It says the storied publication drew headlines last fall after reports surfaced that it appeared to have published AI-generated stories, photos, and authors. That was last year. Basically, what they're saying is the people that bought the rights to Sports Illustrated to publish it missed their loan payments. Therefore, their license to publish as Sports Illustrated has been revoked. And one of the cost-saving methods that they've done is they've gone ahead and told people, the union that represents the Sports Illustrated writers, and I guess if photographers still existed there, tell them that they're laid off. Now, Sports Illustrated hasn't held any weight for a long time at this point. And they fired all their photographers, or many of their photographers, years ago. They generally rely on Getty Images and the AP pulling images there, which sucks.
Were they still physically printing magazines, or was it online only?
I think they were physically printing magazines still. The
swimsuit edition too? Asking for a friend?
Well, that they still do. They still did the swimsuit edition. But it's just... Sports Illustrated was a shell of itself. Let's see. According to FOS, Sports Illustrated parent company, Authentic Brand Group, has sought to revoke Arena's license to publish SI after Arena missed a payment. So Arena was the company that took over and tried to do this, because they also trying to, at the bottom of the article, it talks about opening Sports Illustrated resorts. We're talking hotels. What? What are you doing? What I think, Sports Illustrated is such an unbelievable brand from way back in the day, where the photographers were the greatest photographers in the industry. They were able to pitch a story idea, get funding to go do it. Basically, they were the National Geographic of the sports world, right? They had the funding, they had the readership, they had the advertising, they had the greatest content creators around, the best writers, and they didn't evolve well enough. National Geographic got into producing documentaries, and I know Sports Illustrated, because I looked it up, did some of that, but they certainly didn't go the route of 30 for 30, like ESPN producing docuseries.
They pivoted, yeah.
Now, Sports Illustrated also sells people's work, like Neil Leifer. Like, they have the license or the rights. They may own the rights to his catalog, which I think I should turn around and buy. I think I should own the rights to Neil Leifer's
that would be great.
catalog. I'd be like, hey, Neil, hey, guess what, buddy? I own the rights to all your shit. You want to talk to me now?
Oh, inside jokes.
It's not a joke. It's reality. I love Neil
reality.
Leifer. One of the top 3 or 5, probably the top 3, if not the top sports photographer of all time, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and whenever he stopped really shooting photos. Just the greatest. We did the interview with him on YouTube. It created some sort of rift between he and I still don't know why to this day, because he refuses to tell me.
It's because we supposedly use his photos that weren't licensed and all of this stuff, even though we took screenshots.
I'll tell the story, Stephen.
Of the website.
Let me tell you the story of it.
Here we go.
The story is simple. I called Neil and said, Neil, this was an awesome interview, which he was on the interview. It was a fantastic interview. We had an unbelievable discussion.
Sony condo, I think, right?
It was a Sony condo. My dad, and Sony brought him there.
He's a Sony ambassador.
Yeah. And so we do the interview. The interview's amazing. And I love it because I looked up to Neil as a sports shooter myself. Greatest sports shooter ever. And I will say that a lot of photographers are crotchety. I'm crotchety in some ways. And a lot of them, as they get older, get even more crotchety. They don't want to bother with anybody's bullshit. So I called Neil after and say, hey, we're cutting the interview together. It would be great, since it's on YouTube. Hey, we should just publish that as audio. Did we ever publish that as audio?
It's still on YouTube. The Neil Leifer interview.
I know, but did we ever put up the audio? Because it's still a viable, great interview for audio.
I don't think we did. I mean, I can put it as a bonus RAWtalk episode or something.
I wonder if we should do more interviews at some point. Anyway,
Unfortunately, real quick, interviews just don't do well on YouTube for some reason. We can have the biggest of the big, and it just doesn't do well.
Well, I don't mean to do it on YouTube, but I mean like friends of Frono's Photo, bring them in, have a discussion. I think that would be great. Whatever. We could broach that subject another time. I called Neil because I'm like, Neil, we have this awesome interview, but without visuals, it doesn't make any sense. Now,
because we were putting it on YouTube.
We're putting it on YouTube.
He was discussing certain images in the interview.
And we wanted to show them.
Yep.
And understand that we don't really need permission when it's newsworthy, because it's newsworthy, right? It's news. But I wanted to reach out to him. I said, hey, can we do this? He's like, well, you have to call Sports Illustrated, because Sports Illustrated owns the rights to my catalog. And they're in charge of that. I call the number to Sports Illustrated to talk to them about this. And their reply to me was, I need to talk to Neil. And at which point I was like, Steven, one is telling me this, the other is telling me that. They're both not making a decision, so I'm going to make the decision, which is take a screen grab of the stuff we want on the website, make sure it still says Neil Leifer at the top of the page so people know where to get them, citing our sources, and show it that way.
And we're showing a lot of old
it.
Sports Illustrated covers that are online and, available.
It's news. Yeah. It's an interview, so you can do it. And it's some of it's a gray area, of course, but we did it, and the interview did really bad because interviews don't do well on YouTube.
Yep.
But it's still an unbelievable interview for anybody that's into sports photography or just photography history in general. His stories were fucking incredible. So anyway, he's upset with me, so I would like to buy his catalog and own it.
Well,
I did see him recently at the Sony A9 III event.
Oh, yes, you did.
To which I was trying to understand his anger with me, and I sat down next to him, and he said, talk to the hand. Literally, talk to the hand. He didn't want to talk. Steven was in front. Steven heard the whole thing, and I was like, Neil, I don't know what you're upset about. And if you are going to never tell me what you're upset about, then I can't get to the bottom of what you're upset about because you've never talked to me about it. You've talked to other people.
I think what happened was he thought he talked to you, but he was talking to that other person that we're talking about that put also an interview out with him. And Neil was very upset about that interview. And I think he thought that was you he was talking to. And we kept our interview up. But in reality, he never did talk to us ever. Never said take it down. Never said anything.
The problem is he knew who he was talking to, and it wasn't me because he was complaining about me. So I sit down next to Neil and I try to talk to him, and he doesn't want anything. Now Neil's what? How old is Neil? Is he 80 at this point?
He's got to be pushing 80, late 70s maybe.
Neil, L-E, IFER. Now, I contacted Neil years ago. He's 81.
Yeah.
I contacted Neil years ago before Phonos Photo in my early 20s because I wanted to talk to him. And I just called him and I talked to him on the phone. His phone number was on his website. He's like, well, I'm not sure what I could do for you. I'm like, Neil, I don't want anything from you. I just want to talk, just whatever wisdom you are willing to bestow upon me, I'll listen to. And the funny thing is, I tried to interview him years before, and he said, and he was very upset about it. He's like, you've been trying to get me for years. Blah. I'm like, get you what, Neil? Like, there's no ill anything here, and this is before all of this.
You're literally a super fan of Neil's work, of Neil in general.
I love your work.
I love you, man.
And so
I'm
for
just trying
years
to have a conversation.
Right, to share with my following.
Yeah.
And so he didn't want to talk to me, which was crazy. So I left it at, Neil, you are still one of my all-time favorite you are still one of the best sports photographers in history, and I love your work. And I left. And you heard the guy next to him say, but Neil, he said that you're his favorite photographer.
Yeah.
I
refused to chime in. I heard everything going on, and I'm like, oh my God, don't make a scene. This is minutes before the A9 III was about to be publicly streamed. And I'm like, oh, I hope they're not fighting in the live stream.
No, we weren't fighting because he decided he needed to switch seats.
He decided to move over many seats.
Look, I'll bring that up. Whatever, Neil. Like, I love his work. There's just something.
Me too.
I must have rubbed him wrong somehow, some way, somewhere throughout the history, and I don't know why.
Or maybe someone said something about you to him that maybe they thought you said. I don't know.
But that's why I went.
We never talked poorly of him, We always.
I still don't talk poorly of him. He's still one of the greatest sports shooters of all time.
Well, if you guys do want to check out this interview, it's called "The Greatest Sports Photos Ever Taken." Neil Leifer interview on YouTube.
What's it got, like 17,000 views?
18,020 views.
That's a slap in the face.
I mean, hey, dude, I can put this up again as like a bonus episode if you want to intro that after. It's up to you. I don't mind putting it on RAWtalk. And then if people want to check it out, they can check it out. But it's a great interview, and I hate for it to get lost in the YouTube sphere. It pretty much already did. I mean, it's dead in the water there.
It did get lost.
No one really watched it.
I guess we'll put it up like a day later.
Yeah, maybe Saturday I'll throw it up.
So you'll get a bonus episode there because it's a really good interview. And then just go to Neil Leifer's website or
and say
you have
Jared
to see the
sent you.
photos we're talking about. Oh, yeah, don't say Jared.
No,
don't,
kidding.
Don't light the fire. Neil doesn't need that. Like, he's never gonna not despise me at this point for whatever reason, and that's fine. It doesn't hurt me. I'm not upset. I still love the work. It's still the greatest sports shoot. The Muhammad Ali stuff is still some of the greatest stuff ever. Just go to Neil Leifer's website.
We even put in the description, Sports Illustrated owns the rights to the images and offers prints for sale. If you're interested in prints, please contact the website for more information. That was top line of the description.
That's
in the
what
YouTube
I wrote.
Video, and every screenshot has Neil Leifer's website at the top, trying to promote him and his brand and his work.
And I own every Neil Leifer photo book that exists.
We used to do from my bookshelf, and we did many books of his. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have every book because they're fantastic. So I will always be a Neil Leifer photography fan. But I don't understand. I just don't get it. I rub people the wrong way, but I didn't do anything there.
There's a video from 10 years ago, Guts and Glory, the Golden Age of American Football, Neil Leifer from my bookshelf.
6,000 views?
9,000 views.
Yeah, exactly.
Series flopped.
Yeah, we stopped making that series real quick.
Well, if you
we still
recall,
have like
we did
30 of them.
We did 30 books and only put out like 7 videos.
See, the problem with that, Steven, is that's when you start just making content to make content.
Yep.
Like that falls into the,
Well, honestly, it was more just filler content, but I remember you were very adamant about making that series.
And then we realized that no one knows anything.
Well, no one gives a shit about photo books, unfortunately.
About, through my window. No one cares. No one's going to search for that. Now, if you were putting that on Amazon for a book review, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Altogether. Speaking of different stories altogether, Steven, let's move on to Nikon rumors. Doubling down on the trip that we're not on again to defend it.
Yeah. Something is apparently happening still on that island.
So if you go to the Nikon rumor site and you ever see comments by Peter is the name of the guy that runs Nikon rumors. Now, he's doubling down hard again that this event is happening. And he goes, the Nikon event for those of you who don't know, we've talked about this for the past couple of days. If you look at the past couple of episodes, that a picture was shown of me flying somewhere and of Chris from Petapixel flying somewhere. And that was considered to be a fact that we were going to some event in a Spanish island. That's what the guy was saying, that was the facts. But obviously I wasn't doing that. I'm not there and he isn't there. So the guy goes, the Nikon event in Lanzarote was real, and this was confirmed by several sources, including my least favorite website, Petapixel. Oh, we're not the least favorite website, Steven.
Yes.
Petapixel's the least favorite website.
Well, are we considered
Anyway.
a website, though? I mean, we're more like a YouTube channel.
We're influencers, Steven.
Yes, we are. According
We're
to Nikon Rumors.
They recently published an article titled, "Despite the rumors and jokes, Nikon is not announcing the Z6 III. Now, if they know what is coming next from Nikon, they would be breaking their NDA by making this statement. If they don't know what is coming, then why would they publish this nonsense, especially given their own claim that they do not like to report on rumors?" He's taking all of this shit out of context. And he's like, if the Nikon event in Lanzarote is real, which we all agree it is, who's all
we?
of us agreeing?
Yeah.
Who's we? It's you. Then why is nobody posting on social media about it? After all, this is what influencers do. They promote products online. Maybe they're all under NDA and can't talk about the trip before embargo is over. I do not know. Do you think Nikon will spend $100,000 plus and invite people to a remote island just to have some fun under the sun months before 2024 CP Plus show in Japan and not show them any new products? The only scenario I see where Petapixel would be correct is if the Lanzarote event is actually next week. I initially reported that it would be placed at the end of January, and we start seeing plenty of posts on social media. No NDA, no embargo, just some influencers having fun in Lanzarote with any new Nikon products. A third possibility is that there is another Nikon event in addition to... Jesus fucking Christ. Talk about going down a rabbit hole of why aren't they showing? He's defending the points that we're making, that it doesn't exist. And if it does, then it's just like Canon does these influencer events now.
I think of it like Sony does those little collective events scattered throughout the year. I could see maybe, hey, there might be a Nikon event, but maybe it's for ambassadors, maybe it's for a small collection of people. I don't think there's any new gear being announced there because we would definitely know.
And I love how they say they would be breaking their NDA by saying that they know it's not coming next. It's like you're getting into semantics. He's going down such a rabbit hole.
He's like, well, they're saying that
funny.
It's not the Z6 III, so they're just saying it's not the Z6 III, so it could be something else.
There's been many times where I've done photo news reports where I've had knowledge and used the product that we are saying is a rumor.
Oh, yeah.
But what you'll notice is I only talk about the rumor because I'm talking about the news. And rumors are news. Now, on to what Petapixel said. Their title of the article from Jeremy Gray was, "Rumors are bad for photography, and I'm tired of pretending they're not." Now, that's the title. The title would lead you to believe that he's saying that rumors are bad for the industry. Now, if you read the rest of the article, he talks about how rumors were helpful for him back in the day to get excited about what he might one day own, and something along those lines. But where rumor sites are dangerous, I think they get it right sometimes, and I think it's beneficial because I think it's beneficial to certain companies to have people be front of mind, to have their company be front of mind still that something new is coming.
Sure.
Now, where it becomes dangerous is when people read rumors that are not true.
Wild
and
rumors.
Get specifications that are not true.
Yep.
That when the
Not
product
even
does get
close
announced
to true.
they get upset at Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fuji, whoever. They get upset at the manufacturer for not including some bullshit that some rumor site posted about that isn't actual reality. And so that's where it becomes dangerous. Or people making buying decisions based off of rumors that are not founded, not true, and nowhere near to being true, that they choose not to buy something. Now, we all know that rumors have been better and better at getting things right.
Yeah.
But you know, his least favorite website, at least it's not us. At least it's not us. But the tripling down on the fact that we know what's happening. I haven't talked to Nikon this year in 2024. I have not heard from Nikon at all.
The only time I've heard from Nikon is when I requested empty boxes to put on our store set, and they sent us a bunch with some swag too. They gave us a new sweatshirt and a hat.
That's all. I haven't heard a word.
That's all
as
I've
of
heard
yet.
too. Yeah.
And if we had heard a word, I wouldn't be saying this right now because we'd be under NDA for something.
And maybe we are.
No, we'd be saying, maybe I'm in Lanzarote right now.
You never know. Maybe we're recording this podcast early because we're traveling this week to really there.
The other funny thing that I want to point out is the Peter commenting to someone in the comment section, telling them to get a geography lesson. That Lanzarote is Spain, and then my counter to that
is it
was
Lanzarote or Lanzarote, by the way?
Probably Lanzarote. I don't know. Maserati, Lanzarote. My counter to that is then the United States is also Spain, because that guy Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and we learned all this bullshit in school about him discovering America on the Nina, the Pinta, the Peninta, and the Santa Marinta, the Nino, the Pinto, and the Santa Maria, right? And then the
boats and hoes.
He traveled on
Prestige
boats and hoes.
Worldwide.
Yeah, to kill people by giving them smallpox on blankets. That's like saying that the United States is Spain. So yeah, just because it was, it should be Africa because it's off the coast of Africa, and just because the French invaded during the scramble for Africa, and everybody invaded to take land over there, doesn't make it not Africa. Right? And doesn't make it Spain because Spain planted a flag there fucking 300 years ago.
All right. Enough of the history lesson. We get it.
Oh, fuck you, Steven. Fuck you very much.
Well, let's move on to another rumor.
Speaking of rumors, Steven, that's all we have to say about the Nikon rumor. Rumored specs for the R1. Do you want to tee this off, Steven? Tee this one up.
So Canon Rumors says, in quotes, it's pretty close to reality, according to a solid source, which I assume they've worked with in the past, that can confirm these supposed rumors. But these look like some pretty realistic rumors if you had to make some sort of wish list up for an R1.
Yeah, but guess what? Guess what Sony Alpha Rumors just posted?
What did they say?
First Canon R1 specs, ... that I do not trust. He doesn't trust them.
He is a reputable Canon rumor source, so...
So he goes, I am sure that after 1 year for rumors, at some point in 2024, the Canon R1 will be announced. I'm talking like that because his English isn't his first language, so that's not his fault.
Yeah.
But rumors so far have been totally wild, and latest batch of specs are also, in my opinion, just an educated guess. Anyway, he lists the specs. Steven's going to go into that right now. But if Sony Alpha Rumors doesn't believe it, then geez, I don't know what to say.
So chime in whenever you want to, but I'm going to list some of these specs off and we can break them down.
I'm chiming in right now.
It's a sleek body optimized for maximum hand feel, which
That's my body.
Hope it's going to be the shape of Jared's body. I hope it's going to look like the R3, feel like the R3. Honestly, minus changing
Slightly
the
better.
screen, like making it something like that new Sony screen where it's tiltable and it's very angle at the same time. That would be great. Everything else kind of feels great about the R3. It's light, it feels good, it's smaller. Awesome. They're saying high-speed autofocus and exposure enhanced by AI recognition. So I'm guessing it would meter based on like the subject and not the overall frame, whether it's a dark or light subject, something like that, using AI to figure that out in real time, which would be really interesting based on the subject you're shooting. Moving object trajectory prediction, high success rate, smart object lock focus tracking, whatever the hell that means. Some kind of new algorithm, I'm sure, for autofocus. Now, they didn't really hit specifically on what type of autofocus it's going to have, because for years, Canon Rumors has rumored that quad pixel AF is coming, it's going to be in the R1, blah, blah, blah. Nothing in here says whether it's dual pixel or quad pixel or any of that. So we'll see what they're calling it this time around. But usually it starts with the flagship and then trickles its way down to the other bodies. Now, sensor-wise, 30 megapixel full frame stacked dual gain sensor. So it should have better high ISO capability with that second dual native base ISO. I am surprised it's not 33 megapixels though, because I thought this camera would have like 8K. Usually Canon always saves their flagships for the best, video-centric features, whatever it may be. Kind of weird that they're leaving that out, but giving something like the R5, a less expensive camera, 8K. Purely electronic rolling shutter, faster than any mechanical rolling shutter, so no mechanical rolling shutter at all. Seems like they're going that Z9 route, taking it out completely. 1/1250th of a second flash sync time, and that beats 1/400th of a second sync from the A1, but it's well below the A9 III's 1/80,000th of a second sync. I'm surprised they're getting that high of a sync speed without it being like a global shutter. And then speaking of being very fast, 0.8 microsecond read time. I assume they mean milliseconds here. This is kind of approaching global shutter readout speeds. I think the Z9 has the fastest stack sensor readout right now. It's like 3.7 milliseconds. So this is significantly faster if true. You're basically getting the benefits of like a global shutter without any image compromise at all. At least that's how it reads. So I'm really curious to see how that goes. Like 0.8, I mean, that's fast, man. Way faster than currently what's on the market with stack sensor readout. They added a couple C-RAW compression options. It looks like a 1:3 ratio lossy compression C-RAW.
I don't understand what all that means. But talk about the shooting speed.
Unlimited 40 frames per second in a smaller 1:2 C-RAW ratio, and then 60 frames per second in a 1:3 C-RAW continuous shooting speed. Up to 120 frames per second, full featured continuous shooting. I take that means full featured as in 14-bit RAW files at 120 frames per second, just like the A9 III, and not JPEG only like the Z9 and stuff like that.
That one doesn't make any sense. That one doesn't make sense because why would it be full functioning when 40 frames a second is a smaller RAW file and 60 frames a second is a smaller RAW file, right?
It says unlimited continuous shooting in the 40 frames per second. So I'm thinking there's no buffer at all when it comes to 40 and 60 frames per second because you're shooting a smaller compressed RAW file and you can just keep going. But 120, you probably have like 2 to 3 second buffers, my guess.
Well, I'm just curious, like, can I shoot a regular? Really, I want to shoot 40 frames a second, but I want to shoot uncompressed RAW, but at the largest RAW format. Sorry, lossless compressed.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I hope they do what the A9 III did, where they give you several options, shooting from like 30, 60, 120. I still think they should just let you dial in whatever frame rate you want.
Yep,
it shouldn't matter. It's electronic. Why not? They say it supports 240 frames per second burst continuous shooting mode. Maybe that's more of like a speed boost option like the A9 III, or there's going to be some major caveat, which Canon is known to do, and it'll be like just a big marketing spec, like similar to the 195 frames per second burst in the R3, where it's not really usable, but it's still there, so it's a kind of a marketing gimmick, you know?
I mean, I've used it.
Yeah, but
I've used it.
Your viewfinder locks up, you got to wait like 9 seconds for it to write to the buffer, there's no autofocus, like it's very limiting.
Yep. But, I mean, the overall specs of the whole thing sound reasonable. Now, remember, they're rumors, but 30 megapixels seems like a really nice compromise for me from 24 or 50. 30 seems pretty cool. Can I get that speed? Can the sensor be better? I mean, pre-shooting
I was just going to say
something.
They got the pre-shooting, which you're big on. 1 second.
Yeah, pre-shooting's in there. So what will that take? It's going to have CF Express, I would assume, hopefully
dual
CF
CF
Express
B 4.0 support is what I guess.
But if it still has SD that's fast, I don't think I'll be totally upset.
Their flagships have always been dual matching card slots.
Oh, flagships. That's right.
The flagship.
We got R3 is not flagship.
Correct.
But we all know that the price of CF Express B is not a lot, and so it's possible that if these specs are correct and it does shoot as fast as they say that it shoots, that it will have a bigger buffer and the capability of shooting longer than an A9 III, which has a CF Express A card slots, which don't read as fast, and you chew up memory much quicker because they're you fill up cards much quicker because they're smaller.
And real quick, video spec wise, they're saying 6.7K 60p and 4.2K 120p in Super 35 APS-C mode with 12-bit Cinema Raw light recording, full frame or Super 35 DCI and UHD 4K 120 with C-Log 2 and C-Log 3, which this is the first time you're seeing C-Log 2 in a more advanced professional body and not a cinema camera from Canon. Now, I wonder if they'll finally give us audio recording in their 120p modes. Again, I don't know why they didn't go for like a 33 megapixel sensor to just give us that 8K UHD.
I just don't think 8K matters. I just think, who cares?
But I actually use it from time to time when I really want to punch in on something. That's really the only time I use it, when I want more flexibility in post. It is rare,
certainly
for sure.
Rare.
And it completely crushes my computer when I try and export 8K. It's fine to edit with, especially when I'm editing like a proxy, but exporting is another story. And then price, I don't know. No pricing. I'm guessing $6,500 if the R3 is permanently at $5,000 now. Maybe $7,000. I think it's going to be above $6,000.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I still haven't heard a word from anybody yet about what it is.
Yeah, we know nothing.
So I did just get an email, though, that's asking if I want to go to Lanzarote for a Canon event.
I saw someone post in the Nikon rumor group page saying like maybe it's for the R1. Maybe that's why Jared's going.
I mean, the R1, the sounds of this camera, it give me all of those specs. I mean, I'd be really happy with that myself.
What I like
really happy.
is it sounds like they found this sweet spot compromise between a global shutter and then a stacked sensor, and they kind of combine the two where you're getting, again, the quality of a stacked sensor, but you're getting the speed of a global shutter at the same time. So
You just got to look at what the trade-offs are.
your image is not really being affected. You're not getting that loss of dynamic range and high ISO capability like we saw in the A9 III. Not that it's a ton, unless you're
Right.
really pushing it high.
We'll see. We'll see as the news happens. I mean, is anything going to come out of CP Plus in Japan in February, or is there going to be I think what's going to happen is Canon's going to drop us a note like a week before something.
I think there's going to be a development announcement like they did with the R3.
And they're going to say, we're developing the R1, and here's what we can tell you right now. And then 2 months later, here's some more stuff about it. 3 months later,
I think they only
more
dropped
stuff about
one development announcement for the R3, I believe, and I think that was about 6 months before it was released, if I recall.
We didn't even get a trip for that one because it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be to Lanzarote. No, I think it was actually supposed to be to Montana, and I think would have loved to have gone to Montana to do a Dude Ranch style. Though I hate these shoots. Wait, let me just say I hate these events. I really do, because then I have to be around these other shitty photographers, these shitty news, the fucking website people that can't take a picture to save their life, and they have to have people like give you information, like teach them how to shoot pictures while they're there. I despise that. Just give me the camera and let me go do what I want to do.
So it was 5 months before launch that they put out the first development announcement. That was on April 14th, 2021. And then on September 14th, 2021, they put out the official press release that the R3 has been announced.
Right.
So we're looking at 2 years old now, more than 2 years old for the R3.
Well, let's wrap this up because I got to get working, charge batteries, get ready to go away, answer a bunch of questions about it, and prep photo news and everything that we got to do before we go. But yeah, I think this was good. I think there was some good stuff in here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Steven's going to be doing work while I'm away, as always, and I'll be back like 48 hours.
Which airport are you flying in Lanzarote?
Oh, shit. You weren't supposed to tell them, Steven.
Oh, crap.
Damn it.
I hope I remember to cut this part out.
Steven, don't forget to cut this part out. Don't do it. Just leave it in there. Make people think that we're still going to Lanzarote.
Okay, I got it.
We're going on a secret event. So one thing I'm not waiting for is I have some bowling event to go do, and some announcement's going to happen, and I'm going to be like, I got to figure out which direction I'm going to go.
I know, it's going to be tough. I mean, I feel like you're going to be traveling a lot the next few months, right?
I'm bouncing around.
Yeah.
I
think it's great, though. It gives you something to do while me and Dan are editing like crazy.
Yeah, I don't mind a couple days here and a couple days there.
Same.
All right, let's wrap this up. This is 86, right? Fronos
Yes,
Photo
sir.
RAWtalk number 86.
86, almost to 100.
We're going to put up that bonus. Might as well put up that Neil Leifer story because it's really good.
Why not?
And you might as well listen to it because the stories are great.
You might get an angry phone call from him, but why not?
I wonder if I'll get it. I mean, he just really doesn't like me.
Yeah.
I just don't. I know I rub people the wrong way, but I didn't do anything to Neil. So for years you've been trying to get me to do what, Neil? To share your legacy with the world?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Oh well. Maybe he'll come on the show if I ask him.
Probably not
now. You should start a secret Steven, you should do that. Hey, I'd like to interview. My name's Steven Eckert. I have a website where I talk to sports shooters, and I'd love to have you on my show.
Yeah, I would guess he has no clue who I am.
No, then we start the show, and it's like, Neil, hey, great to see you. You've been punked. All right. Goodbye, Steven. Thank you for the birthday wishes.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. Jared Polin, FronosPhoto.com. See ya.
Bye.